That photo. Tear it down now. You have no idea who saw it. Gavin's voice trembled through the phone, like a fraud who'd been exposed. I calmly sipped my coffee, watching the perfect 9 o'clock sunlight through the window. Oh, really? But I know exactly who saw it. The person you fear most. The phone fell into dead silence. This is what revenge tastes like. Not angry roars, but cold, precise strikes. Let me tell you how an ordinary logistics manager used a humiliating photo to completely destroy two self-proclaimed clever villains. 24 hours earlier, a carefully orchestrated humiliation. Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m., the moment I walked into the company lobby, I knew the war had begun. The lobby was crowded with people, all eyes fixed on one spot, a large photo of my head plastered on the wall, with a line of bold red text below. Some men really need to learn how to treat women. A heartbroken wife. Elena was truly a genius at choosing the worst photo of me. It was a candid shot from last year's company party, with a vacant stare and stiff expression. Combined with that inflammatory text, it was enough to make anyone paint me as an abusive scumbag. Vincent, what's going on? My colleague Tom approached, his eyes filled with sympathy and curiosity. Looks like your wife is pretty angry. Janet from accounting also came over, her voice tinged with gossip excitement. I looked at that photo calmly, my heart completely unmoved, because I knew this photo wasn't the beginning of destruction, but the perfect opening for revenge. Amy, the young receptionist, approached hesitantly. Vincent, can I take it down? When your wife came this morning, I thought she was bringing you a surprise. Don't touch it. My voice was calm. Leave it there. Amy froze and my colleagues looked confused. Who would let a humiliating photo stay at their workplace? Only someone who knows who the real prey is. I returned to my office and picked up the phone, dialing the law firm's reception. Hello, this is Vincent Jackson. I want to confirm, will Rachel Stone arrive promptly at 9 a.m. today? Yes, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Stone is on her way and will arrive on time. Perfect. Let me briefly tell you how I discovered Elena's affair. It wasn't dramatic catching them in bed, nor melodramatic text snooping. It was my car's dashcam that recorded Elena kissing a man outside Starbucks one Wednesday afternoon. That man was Gavin Howard, a lawyer from our company's legal consulting firm, a self-proclaimed elite social climber. I didn't rush over to make a scene because impulse is a privilege of the weak. I wanted complete victory. I began investigating. Gavin, 38, a personal injury lawyer, driving a rented BMW, living in a house bought by his in-laws, spending his wife's money. His wife Rachel Stone was the real power behind the law firm and the primary contact for our company's legal affairs. More importantly, Gavin lied to Rachel about handling high-net-worth client cases, when he was actually spending most of his time fooling around with Elena, squandering wealth that didn't belong to him. This was his fatal weakness. As for Elena, she thought she'd hooked a golden catch, not realizing her elite lawyer was just a kept man. But she was intoxicated by being chosen by high society and began to feel that being with a blue-collar worker like me was beneath her. So she began planning a divorce with simple goals. The house, the child, alimony. She wanted it all. Last night, Elena finally laid her cards on the table. Vincent, let's break up. She sat on the living room sofa, posturing like a queen. I'm sick of this mediocre life. Oh, I continued washing dishes. Why? We're not compatible. You're too ordinary. Her voice was full of disgust. I deserve a better life. I put down the plate and turned to look at her. What do you want? The house goes to me, custody of Emma goes to me, plus you pay alimony. Her tone was like reading a verdict. It's fair, after all, your problems caused the marriage to fail. My problems? I almost laughed out loud. Such as emotional abuse, emotional neglect, and… She paused, a flash of malice in her eyes. Who knows what else? This was her true face. She planned to pin domestic abuse or scumbag labels on me to gain advantage in court. This morning's humiliation photo was just the first step of her plan. Using public pressure to make me lose my job, become economically dependent on her, and eventually accept all her conditions. Foolish. Utterly foolish. She didn't know this photo would become the first shovel of dirt to bury her and her lover. At 9 a.m. sharp, Rachel Stone appeared in the company lobby. She was a typical successful woman, sharp bob haircut, expensive suit, piercing eyes, followed by two assistants in professional attire, radiating authority. Then she saw the photo. Rachel stopped and carefully examined the photo and the text above it, her brow slightly furrowed. "Mr. Jackson," she approached me, her tone professionally measured as always. "What is this about?" All the colleagues held their breath, knowing Rachel's importance to the company. We paid over $500,000 annually in legal fees to her firm. I stepped forward, showing no panic or shame on my face. "I apologize you had to see this, Miss Stone. This is malicious harassment against me by your colleague Mr. Gavin Howard's girlfriend, who is also my wife." This sentence was like a precisely targeted bomb. Rachel's face changed instantly, and she looked at the photo again, especially at the handwritten text. She recognized it. As a woman who'd been in the legal field for over a decade, Rachel's observational skills were extraordinary. She not only recognized Elena's handwriting from last year's Christmas party when Elena appeared as Gavin's girlfriend, but more importantly, she immediately realized the severity of this situation. Her husband was being publicly humiliated by his mistress in front of a client. This wasn't just infidelity. This was professional disaster. "I understand." Rachel's voice was calm, but I could hear the chill beneath. "This is indeed one of the legal risks we need to assess. Mr. Jackson, our meeting will proceed as scheduled. I will handle this matter." She said nothing more and headed straight to the conference room, but I knew that photo had left an indelible mark in her mind. 9:15 a.m., the meeting began. This was supposed to be a routine annual legal service renewal meeting, a relaxed procedural operation, but Rachel's entire demeanor was off. Regarding this year's compliance review, Rachel opened her folder, but I could see she was distracted. "We need to strengthen our review of potential conflicts of interest." Our legal director David nodded. "This is indeed important, especially in situations where personal relationships might affect professional judgment." Rachel looked up, something flashing in her eyes. "Exactly. When personal behavior affects client relationships and professional ethics, the consequences are very serious." The entire meeting lasted 40 minutes, with Rachel almost mechanically going through the motions, but I could feel her anger burning within. After the meeting, Rachel didn't exchange pleasantries with anyone and left the company directly. I knew the show was about to begin. Less than half an hour after returning to my office, my phone rang. "Vincent, that photo. Tear it down now." Gavin's voice was almost screaming. "Do you know Rachel saw it? Do you know what this means?" I leaned back in my chair, my voice as calm as discussing the weather. "Oh, what does it mean? You should explain it to me." "Stop playing dumb." Gavin had completely lost control. "Rachel just called me. She knows. She knows everything." "Knows what?" I continued playing innocent. "Knows about you and my wife?" Heavy breathing came through the phone. "Vincent, we can talk about this. Elena's situation. We can work it out." "Talk about what?" My voice suddenly turned ice cold. "Talk about how you and my wife were fooling around behind my back? Or how you spent your wife's money buying gifts for my wife?" The phone fell into dead silence. I continued, "Too late, Gavin. The photo has been photographed and archived. And coincidentally, I've already sent our company's surveillance footage to your father-in-law, especially the part where Elena posted the photo crystal clear." "You?" Gavin's voice trembled completely. "You knew all along?" I didn't answer and hung up the phone, because what I wanted wasn't his panic, but his complete destruction. At noon, Elena returned home with a triumphant smile on her face. She thought her plan had succeeded. "How was it? Did everyone at the company see it?" She took off her heels, her voice full of malicious glee. "I told you, sometimes women need special methods to make men wake up." I sat on the sofa, quietly watching her like observing an endangered species. "Do you know what you've done, Elena?" I did what a smart woman should do. She walked to the kitchen and poured herself a glass of red wine. I let everyone know what kind of man you are. Now you either accept my conditions or wait to be unemployable in this city. She really thought that in this information age, a single photo could destroy a person. She didn't know that true destruction requires evidence, logic, and perfect timing. What about Gavin? I asked. Your new boyfriend? Elena blushed but quickly covered it. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? I took out my phone and played a recording. It was a phone recording of her conversation with Gavin last night, discussing how to falsely accuse me of domestic violence in court, how to fight for custody, how to maximize her benefits. Elena's face turned pale instantly. You eavesdropped on my phone calls? I protected myself. I stood up. You thought you were playing a game, but you've already fallen into a trap. At 2 p.m. sharp, Gavin received a call from the law firm, not from Rachel but from HR. Mr. Howard, please return to the firm immediately. There's an urgent matter that needs handling. Gavin knew his doom had arrived. The moment he stepped through the firm's doors, all his colleagues' gazes made him feel terror. They were looking at a dead man. In Rachel's office sat not only Rachel, but also her father, the firm's founder Mr. Stone, and the senior partner. Sit down. Rachel's voice was cold as ice. Documents lay on the table. Surveillance footage screenshots, images of Elena posting the photo, and a detailed investigation report. For 3 months, you've been lying. Rachel cut straight to the point. You said you were handling high-net-worth client cases, but actually you were having an affair with a client's wife. Gavin opened his mouth but made no sound. More seriously, Mr. Stone took over. You used the firm's resources and information to assist your mistress in personal attacks and reputation damage against our client. This constitutes serious violations of professional conduct and conflicts of interest. This is the power of law. No hysterical arguments needed, no dramatic confrontations, just facts, evidence, and cold professional logic. From now on, you're fired. Rachel stood up. We will report your professional misconduct to the State Bar Association and apply to revoke your law license. Additionally, we will freeze all your assets until we determine whether you embezzled firm funds. Gavin finally found his voice. Rachel, I can explain. Explain. Rachel sneered. Explain what? How you used my money to buy gifts for your little mistress. Or how you let your lover humiliate our client in front of clients. Game over. At 4 p.m., Elena's phone rang. Thinking it was Gavin, she answered excitedly, Honey, how did things go at the company? Is this Ms. Elena Jackson? An unfamiliar female voice came through. This is Rachel Stone, partner at Howard and Associates. Elena froze. I think we need to meet and discuss your behavior at our client's company this morning. Rachel's voice was bone-chilling. I've worked in the legal industry for 15 years and seen all kinds of stupid women, but one's as stupid as you are truly rare. I don't know what you're talking about. Elena's voice began to tremble. Don't know? Rachel laughed, but the laughter was more piercing than winter wind. You don't know Gavin is my husband? Don't know Mr. Jackson is our important client? Don't know your little stunt today destroyed Gavin's career? Elena's phone slipped from her hand to the floor. At this moment, she realized what she had done. She thought she was executing a perfect plan, but actually she'd thrown a grenade into the precise mechanism of a clockwork. And she and her lover were standing at the very center of the explosion. 2 weeks later, divorce hearing. Elena sat in the plaintiff's seat with a third-rate lawyer beside her. Gavin was too busy saving himself, so she could only find this recent law school graduate to represent her case. On my side sat the city's most ruthless divorce lawyer, Sarah Black. This is the resource gap. When you have money, you can buy the best legal services. When you don't, you can only rely on luck. Please state your demands, Mrs. Jackson. The judge was a middle-aged woman with a serious expression. Elena stood up, her voice trembling. Your Honor, I request divorce and apply for property rights, child custody, and alimony. The reason is that the defendant has long subjected me to mental abuse and emotional coldness. Her lawyer submitted materials. Your Honor, we have evidence showing the defendant has a cold personality and lacks communication skills. This behavioral pattern has caused serious damage to the plaintiff's mental health. This was her strategy. Since domestic violence charges wouldn't stick, she'd accuse me of mental abuse. In some states, this could indeed affect property division and custody decisions. Now it was my turn. Sarah Black stood up, a woman in her 40s with eyes sharp as surgical knives. Your Honor, my client requests dismissal of all plaintiff's claims and applies for complete custody of daughter Emma. She opened her folder and took out the first document. This is surveillance footage of the plaintiff's malicious harassment at the defendant's workplace 2 weeks ago. Without any legal basis, the plaintiff posted defamatory materials at the defendant's workplace, attempting to damage the defendant's professional reputation and work relationships. The judge took the materials and examined them carefully. Sarah continued, "This behavior indicates the plaintiff is emotionally extremely unstable, has a vindictive personality, and is unfit to raise a minor child." Elena's lawyer stood up. "Objection. This was just an emotionally charged act. It cannot represent." "Objection overruled," the judge said coldly. "Continue, Ms. Black." Sarah took out the second document. "This is evidence of the plaintiff's extramarital affair with Mr. Howard, the defendant's company's legal counsel, including hotel records, credit card spending records, and phone call recordings." The courtroom erupted. Elena's face went pale instantly, and her lawyer looked at the evidence like he'd seen a ghost. More importantly, Sarah's voice grew colder. The plaintiff and Mr. Howard conspired to frame the defendant through false accusations to gain improper benefits in the divorce case. Here are recordings of their phone conversations. The recording began playing. Elena's voice clearly echoed throughout the courtroom. "We need to make Vincent look like an abusive husband. Then I can get the house and the child." Gavin's voice followed. "I can testify in court that he has violent tendencies. As long as we coordinate well." This was the fatal blow. Even more dramatic events followed. "Your Honor, we have another witness," Sarah said. "Mr. Howard is willing to testify." "What?" Elena whirled around, unable to believe her ears. Gavin walked from the gallery to the witness stand, looking haggard, his suit wrinkled, eyes shifty. "Mr. Howard," Sarah began questioning, "please tell the court who initiated the plan to frame the defendant?" Gavin avoided Elena's gaze. It was Elena. She said she was tired of her marriage to Vincent and wanted a divorce, but she needed a legitimate reason to get more property. "What did she ask you to do?" "She asked me to commit perjury in court, to testify that Vincent had violent tendencies. In return, she promised to marry me and share part of the property with me." Elena completely broke down. She stood up, pointing at Gavin and shouting, "You liar! You coward! You said you'd help me!" "Silence!" The judge banged her gavel. "Ms. Jackson, control your emotions or I will hold you in contempt of court." But Elena had lost control. "You're all liars. Gavin, didn't you say you loved me? Didn't you say you'd protect me?" Gavin hung his head, not daring to look at her. "I'm sorry, Elena. I can't ruin the rest of my life for you." This is the chain reaction of betrayal. When interests conflict, so-called love reveals its true face, just a relationship of using and being used. The judge stood up with a serious expression. "This case involves multiple serious issues: malicious defamation, adultery, conspiracy to commit perjury, and threats to minor welfare. After review, the court finds that plaintiff Ms. Jackson's behavior indicates emotional instability and serious moral character problems, making her unfit to raise a minor child. Therefore, the court rules as follows. First, divorce is granted. Second, complete custody of daughter Emma goes to defendant Vincent Jackson. Third, property goes to the defendant. Fourth, the plaintiff is not entitled to any alimony. Fifth, the plaintiff must pay the defendant's litigation costs. Game over. 6 months later, a chance encounter in the park. On a Saturday afternoon 6 months later, I was playing with Emma in the park. 8-year-old Emma screamed happily on the slide, sunlight shining on her golden hair like a little angel. "Daddy, push me!" She sat on the swing, waving excitedly. I walked over and gently pushed the swing. This was our weekend routine, with no arguments, no lies, just simple happiness. Then I saw her. Elena stood at the supermarket entrance, wearing a red uniform with an employee badge on her chest, handing out flyers and promoting sales to passers-by. She looked 10 years older. Her hair was disheveled, no makeup on her face, eyes empty and exhausted. The woman who once acted like a queen was now just a middle-aged worker struggling to make ends meet. Our eyes met for a second. I saw hatred in her eyes, but more despair. She wanted to say something but ultimately said nothing, turning and walking into the supermarket. I felt no satisfaction or sympathy, because this is the price of choices. When you choose betrayal, deception, and hurting others, you must bear the consequences of failure, not because the world is fair, but because some people won't let you get away easily. As for Gavin, his ending was even more tragic. Law license revoked, marriage destroyed, assets frozen. Investigation revealed he had indeed embezzled firm funds to buy gifts for Elena, facing criminal prosecution. Rachel showed no mercy in the divorce case, leaving him with nothing. Now he works as an apprentice at an auto repair shop, covered in oil daily, earning minimum wage. This is the true portrait of a social climber. When he lost his woman's protection, he was nothing. His so-called elite status was just borrowed feathers. And me? I'm still the same logistics operations manager, still working at the same company. But now colleagues look at me differently, not with sympathy or curiosity, but with respect, because they know I'm not someone who can be easily bullied. Emma and I have grown closer too. Without Elena's manipulation and arguments, our home has become peaceful and warm. A few months ago, I started dating a nurse named Sarah. She's simple and honest, without Elena's vanity and scheming. Our relationship is progressing slowly but steadily. This is what life should be like. Some might ask, don't you think your revenge was too cruel? My answer is, what's cruel isn't revenge, but betrayal. Elena and Gavin chose the cruelest path from the beginning, betraying trust, hurting family, stopping at nothing for profit. They wanted not just divorce, but to completely destroy me, making me lose my job, property, and daughter. I simply made them taste the bitter fruit they planted themselves. True revenge isn't angry venting or hysterical retaliation, but calm execution of justice, making evil people pay for their choices and protecting good people as they deserve. More importantly, revenge is for a better rebirth. If I had chosen forgiveness, compromise, or, for the child's sake, submission, what would have happened? Elena would have become more reckless. Emma would have grown up in an environment of lies and betrayal, and I would have become a despised failure. Now the trash has been cleared away, and sunlight shines into our lives again. If you're experiencing betrayal, if your partner is fooling around with someone else, if someone is trying to use your kindness to hurt you, remember, first, don't be impulsive. Anger is a privilege of the weak. Calmness is a weapon of the strong. Second, collect evidence. In this era, truth is more powerful than tears. Third, find professionals, lawyers, private investigators, psychologists. Don't try to fight alone. Fourth, protect your interests. Don't believe the nonsense about peaceful separation. Prepare for battle. Fifth, don't show mercy. Being merciful to those trying to destroy you is being cruel to yourself. Now it's 5 p.m., and the sunlight in the park is becoming gentle. Emma runs over and hugs my leg. Daddy, can we buy ice cream? Of course. I pick her up. What flavor do you want? Strawberry, she says excitedly. I love strawberry flavor. This is the entire meaning of life. Not complex conspiracies, painful betrayals, or cruel struggles, but a little girl's longing for strawberry ice cream, a father's simple love for his daughter, an ordinary family's simple happiness. When you clear the trash from your life, when you protect what's truly precious, when you fight for your dignity and rights, you discover the sunlight was always there, just blocked by shadows. And now the shadows have dispersed, and sunlight shines on our faces again. This is the true meaning of revenge, not destruction, but rebirth. Epilogue. Epitaph for the betrayers. Some think revenge is an outlet for anger, but for me, revenge is just clearing away trash so sunlight can shine into life again. Elena chose betrayal, Gavin chose deception. They thought they could trample on others' dignity without paying a price. They were wrong. In this world, there will always be someone who won't let you get away easily. Someone who will make you responsible for your choices. Someone who will prove that ordinary people's wisdom and determination are enough to defeat the so-called elites' hypocrisy and greed. This is their epitaph. Died from their own stupidity and greed. And our story has just begun.